3 weeks. That's how long I'd been getting the cold shoulder from my own wife. 3 weeks of watching her scroll through her phone while I tried to initiate any kind of physical connection. 3 weeks of being treated like a roommate who occasionally helped with the bills. It started subtle. A turned cheek when I leaned in for a kiss. Rolling away when I reached for her in bed. "I'm tired," became her favorite phrase, delivered with the enthusiasm of someone reading a grocery list. But it wasn't just the physical rejection that was eating at me. It was the complete emotional shutdown that came with it. I tried everything. I brought her coffee in the morning. I planned a nice dinner at that Italian place she used to love. I even suggested a weekend trip somewhere. Each attempt was met with the same lukewarm response. "That's nice," or "maybe later," or "my personal favorite, we'll see." The worst part was she wouldn't even look at me. Her eyes stayed glued to whatever was on her screen, like I was an annoying interruption to her evening. I started wondering if I'd done something wrong, said something that offended her. Every time I asked, she waved me off. "Nothing's wrong. I'm just not in the mood. For 3 weeks straight. Come on, last Tuesday I decided to address it head on." We were on the couch after dinner. She was doing her usual phone zombie routine while some Netflix show played in the background. I turned off the TV and faced her. "We need to talk about what's been happening between us." She didn't even look up. "What do you mean?" she said. "You know exactly what I mean. We haven't been intimate in weeks. You barely acknowledge me when I try to show you affection. We're living like strangers." Finally, she looked up with that expression like I was being dramatic. "People go through phases," she said. "It's normal." 3 weeks isn't a phase," I answered. "It's a pattern." She set her phone down with an exaggerated sigh. "Fine. What do you want me to say? That I should just force myself to be in the mood because you want attention? You want to know the truth?" She continued, standing up. "You're always so needy, always wanting something from me. My ex never made me feel this unappreciated." The words hit me like a physical blow. She compared our marriage to her previous relationship. She compared me to the guy she'd been with before me. And apparently I was coming up short. I sat there for a moment processing what she'd just said. She stood with her arms crossed like she'd delivered some profound truth instead of a devastating insult. The woman I'd married, the woman I'd built a life with, had just told me her ex had made her feel more appreciated than I did. "So that's what this is about," I said quietly. "What, you're comparing me to him?" She rolled her eyes. "I'm not comparing anyone. I'm just saying some men understand how to make a woman feel valued without being so demanding about it." "Demanding?" I repeated. "That's what you call wanting basic affection from my own wife?" I stood up slowly. It wasn't anger exactly. It was clarity, the kind you get when someone shows you exactly where you stand in their priorities. "I see," I said. "Don't be dramatic about this. You're making a bigger deal out of it than it needs to be." But I wasn't making a big deal. I was finally seeing the real deal. For 3 weeks, I'd been wondering what I'd done wrong. Turns out my crime was existing in the same space as her memories of someone else. My crime was not measuring up to some idealized version of a relationship she'd decided was better than ours. I walked upstairs without another word. Behind me, she called, "Where are you going?" "We're not done talking about this." But we were done. We'd been done the moment she decided our marriage was worth less than her nostalgia for someone who wasn't even in her life anymore. I sat on the edge of our bed, staring at the wall. The sentence replayed in my head like a broken record. My ex never made me feel this unappreciated. She hadn't just rejected me, she'd ranked me, and I'd lost to a ghost. That night she came to bed like nothing had happened, brushed her teeth, did her skincare routine, climbed under the covers, and picked up her phone again. Business as usual for her, but something inside me had changed. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hurt anymore. I was done begging for scraps of attention from someone who clearly didn't think I deserved them. I was done competing with a memory. The next morning, I woke up with a strange sense of calm. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't planning how to reconnect. I wasn't thinking about romantic gestures. I was thinking about logistics. She was downstairs making coffee when I came down. Usually I try to catch her before she leaves for work. Maybe steal a kiss, ask about her day. Not today. I poured my own coffee, grabbed a banana, and headed for the door. "You're leaving early?" she said, not really looking at me. "Yep," I said. I didn't elaborate, let her wonder. At work, I did something I'd never done before. I called my bank and opened a separate checking account. Nothing dramatic. Just moved a portion of my paycheck into an account with only my name on it. Then I made a list. Everything that was mine, everything that was ours, everything that was hers. Turns out I'd been pretty generous over the years. Most of the valuable stuff had my name on it. When I got home that evening, she was on the couch in her usual spot, phone in hand. "How was your day?" she asked, still not looking up. "Fine, that's it. Just fine." I sat in the chair across from her instead of on the couch. "What else would you like to know?" she asked, confused by the change in tone. "I'm giving you what you asked for," I said. "Space to feel undemanding." She looked at me like I'd become an alien. For the next few days, I kept this up. Polite, distant. I stopped initiating conversation about our relationship. Stopped asking about her day with any real interest. Stopped suggesting activities. When she made passive-aggressive comments, I replied with the diplomatic politeness you'd use with a coworker you didn't particularly like. By Thursday, it was clearly getting to her. "You're being weird," she announced at dinner. "Weird how?" I shrugged. "Different. Cool." I looked up from my plate. "I'm giving you what you asked for. Space to feel undemanding." "That's not what I said," she insisted. "You said I was too needy, so I'm being less needy." Problem solved. She accused me of being passive-aggressive. I told her I was being responsive. "There's a difference." She stared at me for a long moment. "I didn't say I didn't want your attention. I said you were being needy." She reminded me again of her ex. "And apparently your ex figured out how to do this better." Her face flushed. "You're never going to let that go, are you?" she asked. "Let what go?" I said. "The fact that you compared our marriage to your previous relationship and found it lacking." That weekend, while she was out with friends, I quietly gathered my important documents: birth certificate, passport, financial records, insurance papers, and put them in my car. I went through the house and made a mental inventory of what I'd brought into the marriage versus what we'd acquired together. Sunday evening, she tried a different approach. "I've been thinking about what we talked about," she said, settling next to me on the couch for the first time in days. "Maybe we should try to work on it together. Go to counseling." "Counseling for what?" I almost laughed. "For our communication issues," she said. Our communication seemed pretty clear to me. She'd told me exactly how she felt about our relationship. I heard her loud and clear. "You told me your ex-boyfriend made you feel more appreciated than I do," I said. She was quiet for a moment. "That's not how I meant it," she said. "How did you mean it?" I asked. "Maybe you could learn from how other men approach relationships." "So this is still about me not measuring up to your standard, which is apparently based on another man," I said. "That's not what I'm saying," she insisted. "Then what are you saying?" I pressed. She fumbled for words. I stood up and headed for the stairs. "Where are you going to try harder?" I asked. "Just not in the way you're expecting." That night, I lay in bed planning. She thought this was me being sulky. She thought I'd apologize and come back. She thought she could smooth it over with vague promises. She was wrong. Monday, I took a personal day from work and went to see a lawyer. Not to file papers yet, but to understand my options. To know what I'd be walking into if things went the way I suspected. The lawyer was straightforward. "How long have you been married?" he asked. 6 years. "Any kids?" "No." "Joint property?" "The house is in both our names," he nodded. "That simplifies things." By the time I got home, I had a clear picture of my legal position. I also had a timeline, not for leaving exactly, but for being ready if the moment came. Friday morning came like any other day, except it wasn't. She was still asleep when my alarm went off at 5:30. I moved through the house like I'd rehearsed it, 2 large duffel bags. Essential clothes for 2 weeks, laptop, chargers, toiletries. The folder with my documents in the car. A few personal things. The watch my father gave me, the signed baseball from when I was 12. Everything else could wait. This wasn't about taking everything I owned. It was about taking everything I needed to start over. Before I left, I wrote a note and left it on the kitchen counter where she would see it when she came down for coffee. 4 simple lines. You wanted to feel appreciated. Now you can discover what that actually means. No drama. No accusations. Just a fact. I drove to my friend Dave's place across town. He'd been expecting me since I told him what was happening. "How you feeling?" he asked. "Lighter than I have in months," I said. I sat up in his guest room and turned my phone off. I wanted her to discover my absence naturally. Around noon, I turned my phone back on. 17 missed calls, 12 texts. First message: "Where are you?" Second: "Seriously, where did you go?" By evening, there were 47 missed calls and 23 messages. The tone shifted from anger to bargaining. By late night, it was fear. "I'm scared." "Where are you staying? Please let me know you're okay." But she never said she was wrong about the comparison. She never apologized for ranking our marriage against her previous relationship. Saturday afternoon, she showed up at Dave's place, pounding on the front door. I watched from the window as she alternated between yelling and calling my phone. Dave answered, asked her to leave. She didn't take it well. She caused a scene. The humiliation of being removed from my office building later that week would hit her hard. She cared about appearances. Having security escort her off the property felt like a public acknowledgement that our relationship was in trouble. By Sunday, things quieted down. Monday, she tried my workplace. I'd prepared security. She was asked to leave. She was embarrassed. She complained about my behavior. I noticed she still hadn't said the words I'd been waiting for. "I'm sorry." Wednesday morning, she sent a different text. "I went to see a counselor yesterday," she wrote. "I need to take responsibility for my part in this. I'm trying to understand what I did wrong, but I can't fix it if you won't talk to me." For the first time since I left, she acknowledged she might have done something wrong. Not apologizing yet, but admitting it existed. Acknowledgement wasn't enough. Understanding didn't undo the hurt. She'd compared our marriage to her past relationship and found it lacking. Even if she apologized now, the damage was done. She'd shown me how she really saw us, and I couldn't unsee it. By Thursday, the messages had become desperate. "It's been a week. You've made your point. Come home. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I'll do whatever you want." But that was the problem. I didn't want her to say or do anything because I demanded it. I wanted her to value what we had without being taught how to appreciate it. Friday, exactly 1 week after I left, her sister called. "She hasn't slept in 3 days. She's calling in sick. She sits in your house crying and staring at that note." I listened. "I gave her exactly what she said she wanted," I said. Her sister argued that she knew she messed up, that she was beating herself up. Maybe. But in all the messages, she'd never actually apologized for how she'd ranked our marriage. The week passed. My anger faded. My hurt eased. What remained was clarity and resolve. I realized I wouldn't let her waste more of our time pretending this marriage was something it wasn't. Saturday, she showed up at places she thought I might be. Gym, bar, bookstore. She waited outside our house for hours. Her dedication was impressive, but it proved exactly what I'd suspected. She still thought this was about getting me to talk so she could explain her way out of it. She believed conversation would save us. I didn't. Sunday, I replied to one text. "Don't." My first word in a week. Her phone rang. "Thank God you answered. We need to talk." "No, we don't," I said. This wasn't an argument. This was you telling me exactly how you feel about our relationship. She admitted finally that she'd thought about her ex sometimes. She admitted she'd been comparing. That was the truth I couldn't accept. She begged, promised counseling, swore she could change. She said she loved me. But love without appreciation, love given while you mentally rank me against someone else, that isn't enough. You can hide it. You can apologize, but you can't change how you fundamentally feel. I called the lawyer again and scheduled an appointment. It was time to stop reacting and start acting. It was time to make this official because I understood something important. You can't make someone appreciate you. You can't convince someone to value what they already decided isn't valuable enough. And you can't compete with a ghost. Thursday morning, I signed the divorce papers. Friday afternoon, 2 weeks after I walked out, I called her. She answered before the first ring finished. "Please come home." "I'm so sorry. I know what I said was terrible. I love you. I choose you. Let's fix this." I let her get it all out. The apologies, the promises, the desperation. "Are you done?" I asked. "Please just come home and we can work through this." There was nothing to work through. She'd taught me something about how she really saw our marriage. I was grateful for the lesson. "What lesson?" she asked. "That I was never enough compared to your ex. That when you married me, you settled for what was available after your first choice didn't work out. For 6 years, I've been competing with a memory and losing," she cried. She said she was sorry. She begged. It was too late. "I was wrong. I was angry and stupid, and I said something horrible," she said. "You meant every word." People don't accidentally compare their spouse to someone else and find them lacking. That comes from years of thinking it. You can ask someone to change, to learn, to try. But you can't make them stop thinking what they think. I hung up and blocked her number. 3 months later, the divorce was final. I heard she moved back in with her parents. She tried dating. She told people she'd made the biggest mistake of her life. Maybe she did. But what she'd done wasn't a mistake. It was a revelation of her true feelings, and I was grateful she'd finally been honest. I never looked back. If you made it this far, consider subscribing to the channel. It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos I think you'll enjoy. Click on one, and I'll see you in the next story. See you soon.